Welcome to today's deep dive. I want you to think about the last time you felt a pang of guilt for, taking a bubble bath, or maybe saying no to a coworker who wanted you to cover their shift.
Oh, yeah, that heavy, persistent guilt that just sort of comes with any kind of self-care.
Exactly. Well, today we're looking at a source document titled Proposition 3, Selfish Altruism. And our mission for this deep dive is to completely reframe how you think about giving and taking. Because according to this text, your selfishness isn't a character flaw at all.
Right. It actually argues that it's a brilliant biological survival mechanism, which is a pretty bold claim.
It is. And the core paradox here is just fascinating. The hook of this whole philosophy is that reaching your ultimate potential requires you to be altruistic for selfish reasons and selfish for altruistic
Yeah,
reasons.
which sounds like a riddle, honestly.
It really does. It almost feels like, I don't know, a mental loophole for narcissism, right?
Yeah.
Like a free pass to just act terribly.
I can totally see why you'd think that. But the source material is actually incredibly grounded. Today we're going to explore the biology of our evolution, the game theory of human interaction, and then, some really practical daily habits.
So we're basically learning how to align with our deep-seated nature instead of like constantly fighting it.
Exactly, because suppressing it is exactly what causes all that friction in our daily lives. To understand why this works, we really have to look at how we were built over millions of years of genetic evolution.
Right, taking it all the way back to when life was just a single-celled organism.
Yeah. Because without a profound, overriding drive to self-preserve, an organism just won't survive its environment. And if it doesn't survive, it obviously can't evolve or reproduce or expand.
And the text points out that the universe gathered all this evolutionary wisdom to create what it calls the expo agent,
Mm.
which is us, right?
We are the expo agent. Yeah, and that selfish drive is basically the foundational engine of life. It was inserted into our genes to ensure our exponential expansion.
And I love the analogy the author uses here. They say, if you think you're a bird and you jump off a cliff flapping your arms, you're going to fall.
Right, because you can't fight gravity.
Exactly. And you can't fight your own biological coding. We shouldn't fight our nature. But it really begs the question, if selfishness is literally our nature, why do we feel so guilty about it?
That's the million-dollar question.
And where does altruism even fit in?
Well, evolutionary biologists have battled this confusion for decades. The document actually brings up Richard Dawkins and his famous book, The Selfish Gene.
Oh, right, from the 1970s.
Yeah, and when it came out, the public interpretation was just disastrous. People totally misunderstood the title.
They thought it was like an excuse for purely selfish behavior.
Exactly. Eerily selfish people celebrated it as biological permission to exploit others. The misunderstanding was so bad that 9 years later, Dawkins had to clarify it in a BBC documentary.
Oh, wow. He had to go on TV to explain his own book title.
He really did. He had to explain that our genetic code also compels us to protect our collective gene pool, not just our individual selves.
So, like, our family, our tribe, because we naturally have this innate willingness to sacrifice more for a sibling than, say, a total stranger across the planet.
Right, because protecting the collective gene pool ensures humanity as a whole can evolve.
So we're running both of these codes simultaneously, the selfish code and the altruistic code.
Yes, and this is where the source brings in the science of epigenetics,
Mm-hmm.
which is wild because it shows that your genetic blueprint isn't just a static script.
Okay, let's break that down for the listener because the idea that our habits can change our DNA sounds a little bit like science fiction.
It does, but think of your DNA sequence as the hardware of a computer and epigenetics as the software.
Okay, hardware and software.
Got it. So when you change your habits or experience chronic stress, your body responds by attaching or removing these chemical tags, like methyl groups.
So they physically attach to the DNA.
Yeah, they alter how tightly your DNA is coiled. If it's coiled too tightly, the cellular machinery can't read the gene. It silences it. But if it relaxes, the gene is booted up and expressed.
That is fascinating. So our willed habits can actually alter gene expression. We can actively evolve these traits.
Exactly. Which completely contrasts with how someone like psychologist Abigail Marsh defines altruism. She defines it as volunteering at a cost to yourself.
Right, the idea that true virtue requires a penalty. Like you have to lose something to be a good person.
But the source document rejects that zero-sum game entirely. It defines altruism as helping others to expedite your own evolution, with no cost to the self.
Because by serving others, you build stronger alliances, learn new skills, and spread your legacy. It's mutually beneficial.
Precisely. And if we want to see how this manifests in human society, the text gives us this great box of wheat analogy to describe the three types of people on a bell curve.
Yes, I love this part. Okay, so imagine you give three hungry people each a box of wheat. On the far left of the curve, you have the first group, the pickers.
The purely selfish psychopaths. They make up about 1% of the population.
Right, and you give a picker a box of wheat and they immediately devour the whole thing. And when they get hungry again, they don't plant anything, they just take from others.
They are pure consumers.
Yeah.
Purely selfish, which exerts this negative, contracting force that pulls their energy inward, causing scarcity and basically tearing their life apart.
It's like a vampire appliance plugged into a wall, just drawing power until the circuit trips. But then on the exact opposite end, you have another 1%, the planters.
The purely altruistic martyrs.
Exactly. A planter sees hungry people and gives away every single seed they have, and the tragic result is that the planter starves to death.
Which shows that pure altruism is equally destructive. And the text highlights something incredible here. The World Health Organization officially classified burnout from overwork and stress as a disease.
Wait, really? As an actual disease?
Yes. Think of overgiving mothers or nurses who sacrifice their well-being continuously. Because they act as pure planters, they eventually collapse. They haven't provided for their own biological need to preserve themselves.
Wow. So martyrdom literally leads to systemic failure, which brings us to the massive middle of the bell curve, the 98% of us. The growers.
The selfish altruists. A grower takes a small portion of the wheat to eat, plants the rest, and tends to it.
And when harvest comes, they eat a third, plant a third, and share a third. It's balanced.
It is. But that raises a big question. Since 98% of humanity falls into this grower category, how do the absolute best of them navigate a world that still has those manipulative pickers?
Right. The text calls those top-tier growers the purpose hooders. But if you're a purpose hooder and you go out constantly giving, don't you just become a magnet for the pickers who want to steal your wheat?
You'd think so. But that's where the document turns to game theory. Specifically, the prisoner's dilemma experiment.
Okay, for anyone listening who hasn't taken a game theory class, how does the prisoner's dilemma work?
So imagine you and an accomplice are arrested and put in separate interrogation rooms. You can either cooperate by staying silent or betray your partner by confessing.
And the outcomes change based on what you both do.
Right. If you both stay silent, you both get 1 year. If you both betray, you both get 5 years. But if you betray and your partner stays silent, you go free and they serve 10 years.
Oh, man. So the temptation to be a picker, to betray them, to save yourself is just massive.
It is. And when mathematicians run computer simulations of this, purely selfish programs initially win. But over the long term, they destroy each other.
Ah, so nice guys finish first.
Yes, but only when they use a specific strategy called tit for tat.
How does that translate to real life for a purpose hooder?
It means successful purpose hooders always start by being altruistic. They offer help first, but they consciously monitor the interaction.
To see if their altruism is being reciprocated or exploited?
Exactly. If the other person acts like a picker and uses them, the grower holds back. They refuse to be drained.
So they conditionally link their giving to receiving? But the text mentions they aren't totally ruthless, right?
Right. They might forgive a non-reciprocator a couple of times to inspire change, but they won't let themselves be continuously exploited. It's a win-win strategy.
That is so practical. It gives you permission to enforce boundaries. Okay, so we've got the biology, the game theory, but how do you actually practice selfish altruism on a random Tuesday?
Well, the text introduces this concept of intentional layering in your everyday life.
Intentional layering, like the beach day example. I love this. So let's say you want a completely selfish beach day to just decompress.
Right, which is totally fine and necessary.
The text says you should add an altruistic intention to it. So while you're there, you pick up some plastic trash from the shoreline.
By doing that, you satisfy your biological urge to reduce your own stress while simultaneously satisfying your genetic urge to protect the collective habitat.
And it works in reverse, too. If you're doing something super altruistic, like volunteering to build houses for a charity.
You add a selfish intention. You tell yourself, I'm doing this to get a great workout and learn a new carpentry skill.
Exactly. And the reason this layering is so vital connects to what the source calls the 5 extensions of being.
The self, the family, your work, your community, and nature.
Yes. The self is the nucleus. And when you practice intentional layering, you are actively linking these extensions together. Expanding one automatically expands them all.
But is that just a mental trick? Like, am I just playing games with myself to justify my choices?
Not at all. It fundamentally changes your neurobiology. Think about a parent who needs an hour of alone time to read a book.
Usually they'd feel incredibly guilty about that.
Right, and guilt spikes cortisol, which ruins the rest. But if they layer an altruistic intention, saying, I'm learning this to teach my kids later, they eliminate the guilt.
Oh, wow. They link the self-extension to the family extension.
Exactly. Or take cooking for your family, a purely altruistic act that can feel draining. Right, especially after a long day.
But if you add a selfish intention like using it as a personal mindfulness exercise to learn about nutrition, you're grounding your self-extension while serving your family extension.
It creates this infinite loop of growth. You selfishly improve your skills, which makes you a better parent, which stabilizes your family, which frees up energy to volunteer in your community.
It's brilliant. It dissolves that artificial tension we've built our society around. You no longer have to fight an internal war between the urge to take and the urge to give.
Because both are wonderful, necessary traits, you have to take care of your own needs so you can offer even more to the world.
Exactly.
Hmm.
And the source material actually closes with this beautiful, simple mantra. It says, I breathe in for myself. I breathe out for the world.
I breathe in for myself. I breathe out for the world. That perfectly sums it up. So, to wrap up today's deep dive, I want to leave you, the listener, with a final thought to mull over.
It's a great exercise to try.
Yeah. The next time you feel guilty for taking quote-unquote me time or resentful for helping someone else, ask yourself, are you trying to hold your breath in forever? Or are you refusing to breathe out?
How can you reframe that exact moment to complete the breath?
Exactly. Find a way to layer those intentions and see how much lighter it feels when you stop fighting your own evolution.